Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Yesterday, Amisi, a close ally of Raila Odinga and the member of parliament for Saboti, made a statement that caused huge political storm in the Republic of Kenya. And most people believed that the statement by Saboti was actually a private conversation he had with Raila Odinga and that he was leaking, maybe unknowingly, Raila Odinga's secret plan with William Ruto. I want you guys to listen to Amisi.
Sasa tunataka wakati tumetoa mmoja wake. Mimi ni mmoja ambaye tulipiga kura ya yes ili Gachagua aende nyumbani. Sasa wale walikuwa wanakataa ati tusipige kura ya yes, ndio huyu alipiga, ndio huyu mmoja wao, ndio huyu amefika. Mimi niliuliza baba, sasa tunaenda kufanya vita za wengine. Sisi tulikuwa nataka hao wote waende nyumbani. Wewe unatutuma kuenda kuingilia kwa vita za wengine? Baba akasema kama mlikuwa mnataka wote waende nyumbani na mmoja ndio huyu amejitokeza, simfukuza huyu kwanza rais. Alafu tuandamane na huyu mwingine. Kwa sababu wakiwa pamoja sio rahisi kuwapeleka, si ndio? Sasa tumetafuta mmoja tumepeleka. Huyu mwingine achunge bwana. Amebaki bila nguo, kila kitu. Achunge sana. Sasa hiyo ndio kazi tulipewa na baba. Wale ambao mulikuwa mnasema kwa nini mnapiga Yesu, munisamee, nilifuata amri ya baba.
Now that's Amisi revealing clearly that they voted yes after receiving instructions from Raila Odinga. Number two, is also making it very clear that some of them had reservations about removing one of these guys, that they wanted all of them to go. But Raila Odinga told them to begin with Rigathi, because that was the one which was available. And then according to Amisi, William Ruto will then be next. And I was going through Twitter today, and I came across another post by Honorable Steve Mbogo. And the post by Mbogo caught my attention, and it's actually what has motivated me to post this video. This is what Steve Mbogo posted. Just pay very close attention. President Ruto did his biggest political mistake and fell into ODM's trap by impeaching Gachagua. ODM is now planning to impeach President Ruto out of office. And this is the video he tagged in that post.
Be done is when the members of parliament report to parliament next week. The Gen Z needs to force those members to impeach the president. And any member of parliament who will not vote for impeachment of the president, they occupy their homes. That's the only way. This war must now turn to the members of parliament, and they force them. If I bring a vote of no confidence against the President William Ruto, I expect 349 members of parliament to support me. If they don't support me, then their homes are occupied. They need to force members of parliament to impeach the president. That's what we need to do. We don't need to put Gen Zs on the streets to be killed. When we have a national assembly to do what Gen Z are supposed to do, the Gen Zs have given us a platform. Now what is remaining is for members of parliament to do the rest. Let us not put our children on the streets to be killed when we have members of parliament who have the responsibility to impeach the president.
And the question is, can ODM party, or Raila Odinga for that matter, impeach William Ruto from office? I doubt if Raila Odinga and ODM can successfully impeach William Ruto out of office. It was easier to impeach Rigathi Gachagua because that was an initiative of the president through his party. And because Gachagua had stepped on the toes of Raila Odinga, it was easy for Raila Odinga to also help in sending him home. But there's some point in what Mbogo is saying and what Amisi is saying. And that's exactly what I want us to analyze in this video. Is it possible that Raila Odinga is actually playing William Ruto? Because I've read and I've seen, and I've also thought about it, that maybe Raila Odinga is working with Ruto to help him achieve his objectives. And once those objectives are achieved, then he can decide to go and end William Ruto's term in office through the ballot in 2027. But before you do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But again, before I dive in, allow me to also take the opportunity to thank the following people. You are seeing their names on the screen there for the coffee they sent to me earlier today. It goes a long way in supporting this channel. You can also do the same using the numbers you are seeing on your screen. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to dive in. I want to ask you this question. What do you think motivated Raila Odinga to work with William Ruto? Because on this platform, I've always told you that in politics, there are only two constants: the interest and betrayal. And that as long as the interest of politicians can converge, they will always work together. So what was Ruto's interest? And what was Raila Odinga's interest? For me, William Ruto's interest in working with Raila Odinga was to stabilize the government. Because, you know, the economy was doing poorly, the government rating was so low, there was the pressure from the opposition. William Ruto wanted to stabilize his government. But for Raila Odinga, I think his interest of becoming the chair of the African Union Commission was the main motivating factor. And therefore, if those interests were not there, probably they would not be working together. And that's why sometimes I try to agree, or I tend to agree with those who suggest that maybe Raila Odinga is just using William Ruto, that after he achieves whatever he wants, then he can make a comeback, just like Moses Kuria had predicted, and be on the ballot again in 2027. But I've been asking myself, can Raila Odinga play William Ruto? For me, that's possible for several reasons. Number one, if Raila Odinga were to fail in his bid of becoming the next chair of the African Union Commission, if he were to fail to get that seat, what will he do? He will have only two options: go to Bondo or stay in Kenyan politics. And Raila Odinga staying in Kenyan politics can never sit so well with William Ruto. In fact, the main reason why Ruto is supporting Raila Odinga wholeheartedly is because he wants Raila Odinga out of Kenyan politics. And that will be the beginning of their fallout. Because for Raila Odinga and his supporters, they will view William Ruto as someone who played them. He knew so well that Raila Odinga was not going to succeed, things like that. So if Raila were to fail, he will come back into the country as a fallback strategy if he will not go to Bondo. So for me, as long as the AU bid has the potential of flopping, Raila Odinga can turn his back on William Ruto. And this is why, for example, someone like Mbogo is saying William Ruto is in a very tight corner, because the Mountain, which was the core support base of William Ruto, has already left. Now, William Ruto is banking on the support of Raila Odinga basis. If Raila Odinga were to come back and say, I'm running, or I'm not going to support you because I feel you've betrayed me, I can tell you William Ruto will be home as early as 2 a.m. That's why I always tell people that for William Ruto to succeed, he must pray day and night for Raila Odinga to succeed also at the AU. So for me, that is number one. Again, allow me to also take this opportunity to introduce you guys to BRICS Solutions before we go into the next point. BRICS Solution is a software development company which specializes in three areas. The first area is software solutions, where they develop point of sales like for pharmacies, for supermarkets, for schools, human resource management system, school management system, and of course, they also develop custom-made softwares. They also specialize in website design and development. So if you have a website for your company, for your school, for your college, for your hospital, reach out to them. And they are also very good on CCTV installation. As a matter of fact, the last time I did this advert for them, several people contacted them, and the feedback so far is so good. So you can always reach them in case you require those services through the numbers you are seeing on your screen there. Direct calls or WhatsApp. Ladies and gentlemen, the second reason why Raila Odinga can actually play Ruto is what I consider, or I always call, the Kikuyu factor. Just like I was trying to explain, Ruto is currently exposed. He has lost the hustler narrative. William Ruto can no longer come to people and tell them about hustlers. William Ruto made promises which he has not been able to fulfill, which will make it very difficult for William Ruto to go to people and make promises again. As we speak, the economy of the country is doing badly, though it's trying, but doing badly. But the fact that the Kikuyu, which was his core support base, all the Mount Kenya, is drifting away, is exposing William Ruto. It's exposing William Ruto, which means some crafty strategist can sit with opposition leaders and tell them, you see, for us to defeat Ruto, we must do A, B, C, D. And for us to do that, let us have Raila Odinga, because that is now his strength. Let us convince Raila to come and we support him. I doubt if, for example, Kalonzo, through Azimio, Rigathi, through his political party, because he's likely to form a political party, the Gen Zs decide, okay, it's Raila Odinga. I doubt if Raila Odinga can stay with William Ruto. Because the truth is, Ruto is surviving today because of Raila Odinga, politically speaking. And if that were to happen, Ruto is going to be exposed. Raila will dump him and contest against him. So Kikuyu factor is very, very important. Because in the last election, William Ruto used Raila phobia in the Kikuyu nation. So the same Kikuyu nation have not dumped him. They have agreed with what Uhuru used to tell them that, Ruto is not a good person. Ruto has also told them that Raila is a good person. Uhuru also used to tell them Raila is a good person. So Raila can be easily persuaded to dump Ruto and come and be the sole candidate, just for the purposes of removing William Ruto. Of course, politics is about interest. I doubt if Kalonzo can agree to pave way for Raila Odinga, politically speaking. But if that were to happen, Raila can come down and leave Ruto kwa mata. Number 2. Number 3, pressure from Kenyans can also make Raila Odinga dump Ruto. How? You see, William Ruto is facing rejection. And as we head towards the election, those rejection might actually be more pronounced, to an extent that it will be very difficult to even associate with Kenya Kwanza. So Raila Odinga might decide, okay, if that's the situation, then I can easily decide. Then Raila Odinga can decide that if that's the situation, Kenyans have rejected you, I also want to side with Kenyans. I'll support their candidate. So if they are supporting Matiang'i, if they are supporting Kalonzo, side with them, support their candidate. So that pressure can actually come from Kenyans as a result of the rejection of Kenya Kwanza. And number 4, which in my view is likely to happen, is ODM party's political interest. If I were to ask you, let me just ask you this question. Do you know ODM party's interest in 2027? Will they just support Ruto? Because for William Ruto, he needs numbers. But for ODM party, they might not produce a presidential candidate. So what will happen? If William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza will be unpopular, what will they do? ODM supporters, ODM members of parliament, and ODM leaders might actually pile pressure on Raila Odinga to contest. Why? They'll need the political party's funds beyond the elections, which will sustain the party. They need the numbers in parliament, in the Senate, in the county assemblies for them to continue remaining relevant. Yeah, for them to continue remaining relevant, they must have numbers. So ODM might say, okay, for us to survive, Raila must be on the ballot. Then we sponsor candidates and align ourselves with the popular side, which would then be opposition, for example. Lastly, William Ruto might also just be scheming to play ODM and their leaders, and it might backfire. They might realize, okay, this guy is playing us. So in such a situation where ODM will realize that they're being played by Ruto, they can then decide, okay, let us also be cheeky and dump William Ruto. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you think, but that's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. And by the way, let me ask you, do you think Babu Wino can withstand the onslaught from ODM party, the onslaught from Raila Odinga and his brigades? Because Babu has clearly declared war with the ODM party. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.